My fiancé forgot to hang up. I heard her mom say, "We'll make him sell the house," or kick out his kids. I didn't say anything. I transferred the deed into a trust for my kids. They returned from a shopping trip, smiling, until the key didn't fit. On the doorstep, they found a note. When they read it, they started screaming. I'm Timothy, 36, a wedding and real estate photographer in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I learned something ugly about my fiancée because she forgot to hang up. It was a Thursday. 6:14 p.m., I remember, because I was exporting a gallery for a client, and the timestamp sat in the corner of my monitor while my twins argued over whose turn it was to feed the goldfish. Dad, he likes me better, Noah said. He does not, Lily shot back. He just swims toward movement. That was my house most evenings. Noise, small fights, cereal bowls in the sink, somebody's sock on the stairs. Normal. Good even. Vanessa had called on her drive to the mall with her mother. She said she needed a girls' night and retail therapy, which already sounded expensive. But I just said, have fun. Text me if you'll be late. She laughed. You sound like my dad. I sound like a man who has 2 kids and a bedtime. Relax, Timothy. Then she said, hold on. Mom's saying something, and I heard the muffled shuffle of the phone moving. She never disconnected. At first, I wasn't listening. I was dragging files into a folder labeled Waiters Listing Final while Lily asked me if fish got lonely and Noah was trying to pour Sprite into a mug because it tastes fancier that way. Then I heard Vanessa's mother, Denise, clear as day. He's still dragging his feet? Vanessa gave a little laugh. He wants everything in writing. Good, Denise said. That means he knows he's weak. My hand stopped on the mouse. Vanessa said, the house is the real issue. And Denise answered, calm as a cashier. Then we'll make him sell the house or kick out his kids. Noah was still talking. Something about the fish. I didn't hear the rest because all the sound in the room went strange, like my brain had shut one door and opened another. My mouth went dry. My hands went cold. My brain started counting automatically. Mortgage, equity, title, trust attorney, school district, my kids upstairs. Her name not on the deed. Thank God. Vanessa said, Mom, lower your voice. Denise snorted. Why? He needs to understand that marriage means compromise. Those kids are baggage. Timothy is soft. And that house is wasted on 3 people. Once you're married, you push. Hard. There was a pause. Then Vanessa said the part that finished it. I know. He always folds when it's emotional. Lily was standing by the desk now, hugging one of my camera lens pouches like it was a pet. Dad? I looked at her and forced my face back into something a child could survive. Yeah, Bug? Are you mad? No. I swallowed. Just working. On the phone, Denise kept going. You give him 2 choices. Sell and upgrade with you, or tell him the children need to spend more time with their mother and he can start fresh. Men do this every day. Their mother had been gone 3 years. A drunk driver on I-40. There was no shared custody to threaten. Denise either didn't know that or didn't care enough to remember. Vanessa said, very softly, he'll hate me. Denise answered, only for a minute. Then he'll do what he's told. That was the knife line, not the house, not even my kids. What broke it open was hearing the woman I planned to marry sit there and let my children be discussed like old furniture. I didn't scream. I didn't call back. I didn't say a word. I picked up the phone, ended the call, and opened a different folder. I bought that house when I was 31, 6 months before my wife Claire got pregnant with the twins. It wasn't huge. 3 bedrooms, 1 decent yard, bad kitchen tile, good light in the mornings. The kind of place photographers notice because the windows make everyone look more honest. After Claire died, the house became the only thing in my life that stayed in one place. The kids' growth marks were on the pantry wall. Claire's herb box was still under the kitchen window. Noah slept with the hallway light on for 9 months. Lily started leaving notes in my camera bag that said things like, don't forget I love you in crooked purple marker. The house wasn't real estate to me. It was continuity. I met Vanessa at a corporate event I was hired to shoot. She was pretty in a polished way, and easy to talk to in a room full of people pretending not to network. She worked in medical sales, knew how to hold eye contact, knew how to make sympathy sound intimate. On our third date, she said, "You're a good dad. I should tell you that when you're widowed young, people saying that can hit like morphine. Not because it's deep, because you're tired." At first, Vanessa played it right. She brought cupcakes for the twins. She remembered Noah hated mushy fruit. She told Lily her drawings were gallery worthy, which made Lily follow her around for 20 minutes like she'd been knighted. Denise came later. The first incident was 8 months in. Small enough that I ignored it. Big enough that I shouldn't have. We were at Sunday dinner at Denise's place. Her condo smelled like lemon cleaner and judgment. Noah dropped a fork. It clattered once. Normal kid noise. Denise smiled and said, "Timothy, you really should teach them how to be less present." I said, "They're 8. She folded her napkin. Exactly. Old enough to know when adults are trying to enjoy themselves. Vanessa touched my arm under the table and whispered, "She doesn't mean it badly." That became family language fast. "She doesn't mean it badly. Be flexible. Don't make a scene." She's old school. "We're just trying to make this smoother." Smooth meant my children needed to shrink, so Denise could feel elegant. The second incident came when Vanessa started staying over more often. One Saturday, I came back from a soccer game with the twins and found 2 boxes in the hallway. "What's this?" I asked. Vanessa was in the guest room, the kids' playroom, really. She had a tape measure in one hand. "I'm just thinking ahead," she said. "This room could be a dressing room or office." Lily was behind me, still wearing grass stains on her socks. "This is my art room," she said. Vanessa smiled without turning around. Well, eventually people outgrow things. That night I said, "Don't talk about their spaces like that." She sighed. "Timothy, I'm trying to picture a shared future. Why does everything become a crime with you?" I swallowed it because I wanted the thing widowers get told to want. Move forward, open up, don't live in grief forever. I thought it was temporary. It wasn't. The third incident was money. Denise asked one night over wine, "Have you updated your estate documents?" I said not since Claire died. She gave me a look. "That's irresponsible when a new marriage is on the table." Vanessa said, "Mom's just saying we should be practical." Practical, another useful word. I asked, "Practical for who?" Denise smiled. "For family." The actual answer was this. Denise had gone through 2 divorces and believed assets were warfare. Vanessa had absorbed that as etiquette. They both saw stability and immediately started measuring how to redirect it. The resource lever was always the house. Not my job. Photography was too irregular for them to respect, even though I cleared good money. Not my car, not savings. The house. Because houses look solid, and people who want power love things they can point at. Around the twins, Vanessa developed another habit I hated. Correction by tone. "Noah, do you need to stop?" "Lily, maybe don't interrupt adults." "Guys, this isn't a playground. Nothing brutal." That was the trick. Each thing deniable on its own. Together, it taught my kids to get quieter when she walked in. One night, Lily asked, while brushing her teeth, "Is Vanessa mad at us, or is that just her face?" I stood there with a Spider-Man towel in my hand and felt something heavy settle in my chest. "Why would you ask that?" She shrugged too fast. "Because when I laugh loud, she looks tired. Kids learn to shrink in inches, not miles. That's why adults miss it if they want to." I started noticing Noah asking permission to get juice in his own kitchen when Vanessa was over. Lily stopped drawing at the dining table if Vanessa had paperwork out. I still kept swallowing it, because there were good days too. Because grief messes with your standards. Because when someone says, "I love all 3 of you," you want to believe the sentence means the same thing to them that it means to you. It didn't. By the time we got engaged, Denise was openly discussing renovations, as if she co-owned the place. "You could knock out that back wall. Those children don't need such large rooms. A cleaner floor plan would photograph better when you sell." When you sell. I corrected her twice, then 5 times, then less. Because arguing with women like Denise is like trying to nail smoke to a wall. They act confused until your exhaustion looks like consent. And that Thursday evening, Thanks to one forgotten hang-up, I finally heard what all the softer language had been hiding. They didn't want to blend with my family. They wanted my family displaced. Once the call ended, I moved fast. Not dramatic fast, document fast. I texted my attorney, Mark Ellison, at 6:27 p.m. need a state and property protection consult tonight if possible. Urgent. Then I emailed myself a summary of the overheard call with the exact time, exact words, and call duration from my phone log. After that, I checked the deed. Still solely in my name, no transfer, no marital claim yet, no shared title. Good. Mark called me at 7:02. What happened? I told him there was a short silence, then papers shifting on his end. Do you want the calm answer or the emotional answer? Calm. Don't marry her. And if your goal is to lock the house for your children, we can move it into a trust quickly if your state requirements are met and you understand the consequences. I do. No joint tenancy promised? No written prenup in conflict? No. Then we can draft tonight and file in the morning. I looked through the office doorway. The twins were on the rug watching a baking show and arguing about whether fondant counted as food. Do it, I said. He came to my house at 8:11 with a portable scanner, 2 witness forms, and the face of a man who has seen rich families become feral over less. We set up at the dining room table. Noah wandered in wearing dinosaur pajamas. Why is there a lawyer here? Mark said, because your dad is being organized. Noah nodded. That sounds boring. It usually is, Mark said. The kids went back upstairs. I signed the trust documents at 8:43 p.m. The trust named Lily and Noah as equal beneficiaries. I stayed trustee. A secondary trustee kicked in if something happened to me. Occupancy and use were tied to my care of the children. The house would not be a marital asset because there would be no marriage. By 9:10 p.m., the documents were done. Wave 1 started before Denise and Vanessa got back from shopping. Texts. Vanessa, still up? We got you something. Vanessa, Mom says don't work all night. Vanessa, also, we should talk timelines this weekend. I answered, we will talk tonight. She sent a heart. I stared at it until I almost laughed. They came in at 9:47 p.m. I know because my security app logged the driveway camera. Vanessa carried boutique bags. Denise carried herself like she paid taxes on my address. Vanessa smiled when she came through the kitchen door. Wow, you're awake. We found you that coffee grinder you liked. I said, put the bags down. Her smile changed first, just a little. Denise looked from my face to the papers on the table. What's this? An ending, I said. Vanessa gave a short, nervous laugh. Okay, what does that mean? It means I heard your call. Silence, not shocked silence. Caught silence, Denise recovered first. You misunderstood, I didn't. Vanessa stepped forward. Timothy, listen to me. I cut in. I heard your mother say, we'll make him sell the house, or kick out his kids. I heard you say I fold when things get emotional. Vanessa's face drained. I didn't mean it like that. Denise snapped. Well, how else is a person supposed to plan a marriage with children in the way of every adult decision? There it was. No packaging this time. I asked one concrete question. Did you or did you not discuss removing my children from this home? Vanessa looked at her mother, which was answer enough. Timothy, she said very quiet, we were trying to figure out what life would look like. For who? For us. The children were upstairs. I kept my voice low because they did not need another adult memory bleeding into the walls. You are not us, I said. There is me, and there are my children. That is the permanent structure. Denise rolled her eyes. This is why widowers stay stuck. Everything is sacred, nothing can be touched, and then you call ordinary planning abuse. I stood up. This conversation is over. Vanessa, gather your things. Vanessa stared. What? We're done. Over one call? No. Over what the call proved. Wave 1 was guilt. You're overreacting. You're twisting this. Mom was venting. You know how protective she gets. Do you really want to humiliate me because of one bad conversation? I stayed factual. You discussed my children as leverage. You discussed my house as an asset to force. You are leaving tonight. Then, wave 2 started. Practical harm. Fast. Vanessa said, "My things are here. Take them. My name is on utility deliveries. I'll return them. We've paid for furniture. You can show receipts." Denise crossed her arms. "You cannot legally lock out your fiancé. Watch me." That was when Vanessa made the mistake that finished any remaining softness in me. She said, "Fine." But that house was going to change after the wedding anyway. I asked, what exactly was going to change? She didn't answer. So I asked again, "Cleaner. What rooms?" No answer. I took a step closer. "Show me the written plan. Show me texts. Show me anything where you and your mother mapped out where my kids were supposed to go." Denise said, "Don't be theatrical. That's not an answer." Vanessa snapped, "We were going to convert the upstairs. Kids share spaces all the time. Noah and Lily each have a room because grief already made them share enough." She looked away. That was when I stopped arguing and started documenting for real. I turned on my phone recorder and said, "State clearly whether you intended to pressure me to sell the property." Denise actually laughed. "Oh, please. State clearly whether my children were discussed as a condition of marriage." Vanessa whispered, "Turn that off." I didn't. Instead, I said, "You have 10 minutes to remove yourselves and whatever you can carry. The rest will be inventoried and placed outside tomorrow at noon." They both started talking at once, then angry, overlapping, louder. The twins came onto the landing. That was it for me. I looked up and saw Noah standing half behind Lily, both of them silent in that terrible, careful way children get when adults become unsafe. I said, "Kids, back to your room, now." They went. I turned back to Vanessa and Denise and spoke in the calmest voice I had. "You are done in this house." At 10:26 p.m., I sent one group text, Vanessa, Denise, my sister who had helped plan the engagement party, Mark, my attorney. The engagement is terminated. Vanessa and Denise are not permitted on my property after tonight. Any attempt to access the home, pressure a sale, or discuss removal of my children will be treated as harassment and documented. That sentence did what truth usually does in group chats. It made weak people furious. Vanessa started crying then. Real tears. Maybe grief for the relationship, maybe humiliation, maybe anger that the plan had failed before it started. I don't know. I was too finished to care. Denise said, "You can't throw us out in the middle of the night. You drove here." She stared at me like no one had ever answered her in complete sentences before. "They took 2 suitcases, 3 shopping bags, a garment bag, and Vanessa's makeup cases. The rest stayed piled by the front hallway. At 11:03 p.m., I deadbolted the door after they left. At 11:18 p.m., I called a locksmith I'd used once after Noah jammed a key into the back lock with a pebble for science. He came at 7:30 the next morning and changed all exterior locks. Garage code, too. I updated the camera notifications. Mark filed the trust transfer by 10:14 a.m. and sent confirmation at 1:02 p.m. The deed was no longer sitting there, waiting for someone with a bridal smile and a manipulative mother. By noon, I had every remaining item of Vanessa's boxed, photographed, and lined up in the garage. At 12:37 p.m., she texted, "We're coming by after lunch to talk like adults." I replied, "Do not come inside the property. Your belongings will be on the front step at 2 p.m. She called 5 times. I didn't answer. At 1:54 p.m., the twins were at my neighbor Carla's house making Rice Krispie treats. I did not want them present for the return. I set the boxes on the porch, 2 garment bags, 1 cosmetics case, 1 framed print she'd left in the guest room. On top of the largest box, I placed an envelope. Inside was a short typed note. "Vanessa, your remaining belongings are enclosed. The house is held in trust for my children and is not available for discussion, sale, pressure, or future planning. Do not contact my children. Do not come onto this property again without written permission. Further contact goes through my attorney. Timothy." They arrived at 2:11 p.m., smiling when they got out of the SUV. That part mattered to me more than it should have. The confidence. the assumption that they were still walking into a negotiation they could win. Then Vanessa tried the key. It didn't fit. She tried again. Harder. Denise stepped up, took the key, and jammed it once like the door itself was being disrespectful. Then they saw the boxes. Then the note. I watched through the side camera feed from inside the office because I wanted a record and because I had no intention of giving them my face again. Vanessa opened the envelope first. Denise leaned over her shoulder. Vanessa read 2 lines, stopped, read again, then made this sound I can only describe as injured rage. Denise snatched the paper, scanned it, and started shouting before she reached the end. She pounded on the door. Timothy. Another bang. Harder. This is insane. Then the line that made me glad I had changed every lock in the house. You don't get to do this to my daughter. I didn't answer. She kept yelling. Vanessa was crying and screaming now too. You put the house in a what? That was the devastating line. Not because it was clever, because it proved they understood exactly what had happened. The leverage was gone. No threatening a sale. No pushing renovations through marriage. No edging the twins out room by room. No future in which my children came home to find themselves negotiated out of their own lives. Denise called me from the porch. I let it go to voicemail. Her message came in clipped and shaking. You are making a very serious mistake. We were trying to help you build something better. Help. That word again. Always help when control fails. They stayed on the porch 11 minutes. Door pounding, angry calls. One attempt to get in through the side gate before the latch stopped them. Then the SUV peeled out of the driveway hard enough to send gravel against the curb. I saved the footage to cloud storage and forwarded everything to Mark. Irreversible step completed. Locks changed, trust filed. Access removed. After that, all that was left was the quiet. That night, Noah asked from the back seat, "So Vanessa isn't marrying us anymore?" Kids say things that hit the bone by accident. I looked at him in the mirror at a red light. "No," I said, "she isn't." Lily, beside him, asked, "Because she was mean about the house?" I said, "Because she was mean about something more important than a house." She thought for a second. "Us?" "Yeah." She nodded once like she was filing it properly, and went back to peeling the paper off her straw. Peace didn't arrive like a movie ending. It came back in little proofs. 3 days later, Lily dragged her markers across the dining table again, without asking permission. A week later, Noah built a blanket fort in the living room and didn't apologize for the mess. 2 Saturdays after that, I found both of them in the pantry hallway, comparing their heights to the wall marks, and laughing because Noah had grown exactly half a chicken nugget taller. That was peace, not silence. Safety. Vanessa tried one last tactic. A gift bag on the porch 10 days later. Fancy cookies. A folded letter. No return label. I didn't open the letter. I photographed the drop-off, emailed Mark, and had the bag donated unopened. Then came the apology text. "I know my mom went too far, but we can still talk this through. I loved you," I answered once. Access to me and my children is not a family right. Do not contact us again. Denise sent a longer message from a different number. You've turned the kids against a woman who wanted a future with you. One day you'll regret being so rigid. I blocked that number too. Rigid is what manipulative people call a boundary when it works. A month later, I took the twins to the beach for a weekend. Cheap motel, cold sand, off-season wind. Noah collected ugly shells like treasure. Lily took photos on an old point-and-shoot I'd given her and made me pose badly on purpose. At dinner, she asked, "Dad, are we staying in our house forever?" Kids don't ask about deeds. They ask about permanence. I told her the truth. As long as I can help it, yes. She smiled and dipped a fry in ketchup with the seriousness of someone signing a contract. I still photograph weddings. That's the ironic part. I spend Saturdays documenting promises in good light. I don't hate marriage. I hate entitlement in a pretty dress. Sometimes people ask why I went so far, and I always think the same thing. I didn't go far. I went exactly as far as a father should go when he hears adults planning to use his children as bargaining chips. The trust wasn't revenge. The lock change wasn't cruelty. The note wasn't theatrics. It was clarity. My kids deserved a home that didn't depend on somebody else's mood, somebody else's mother, somebody else's plan for smoother lives. That's the moral, I guess. People who want your stability will call themselves your family while they inventory what they can take. Listen to the words they use when they think you can't hear them. That's the real version. And when you finally hear it, act before they realize you did. I'm not available for that.